recently, as I was reading the Raw Shark texts by Stephen Hall, I realized I love books that are weird and that have quests. And my favorite genre is weird books with quests. And I've been loving these types of books ever since I started reading, and I've never stopped seeking them out. I just didn't know they all fell into this category. And so today, I've compiled a list of just 5 books that I wanted to recommend, but on Goodreads, I've made an entire shelf that has 22 books so far that are weird and with quests. And so if you like this video, I might make other ones recommending all the other books. Today, I only have 5. And the first book, obviously, is The Raw Shark Texts by Stephen Hall. The main character of this book is called Eric Sanderson, and he suddenly wakes up and he doesn't remember anything about his life. But he finds a note on a piece of paper from a guy called the first Eric Sanderson, and he knows that's his name, but he doesn't understand why it's called the first Eric Sanderson. And basically, the note has some directions on what to do next, and the note tells him to go to Dr. Randall, and then he finds other letters from the first Eric Sanderson. The letters keep coming, and he slowly but surely starts to piece together everything that he needs to know about his life. It's a weird book because it also involves these weird sharks that are not really animals. They're very conceptual and vague, but I don't want to give anything else away. And it has to do with memory, with love, trying to save somebody who you lost. And it's also about how when you go through a period of trauma, that can have a significant impact in who you are and how you perceive the world. And maybe you cannot take the story of the book literally, but it has like a metaphorical, allegorical meaning. Moving on to the next book. This is one of my favorite books of all time, and I can't believe it's so underrated. But that book is Rabbits by Terry Miles. The main character of this book is called Kay, and apparently the gender is unknown. We don't know their gender, but when I first read the book, I thought it was a guy. And that just goes to show how much patriarchy has messed with our brains and how we perceive the world and how we perceive people that we're not given a lot of information on. Like, why do we assume the main character is always a guy? Why do we think the hero is always a guy? Food for thought. I think Kay is non-binary / a lesbian. But when I read the book, obviously I had no idea. So basically there's this video game called Rabbits. And in this video game, again, oh my god, I just love things with quests and with clues. There are these clues in the real world, and the people try to find the clues and solve the puzzles until they get to the prize of the game. In the synopsis, it also says like it involves the entire world, like the entire world is at stake. And I was like, there's no way a little underground game is gonna involve the entire world. But no, I was wrong. And I'm not gonna spoil how it happens, but like, it's so good. Kay also has like a little sidekick, Chloe, who also is romantically involved with them. And they're trying to solve the puzzles together and also trying to save the world. But I'm not gonna tell you how the world is involved. Next, we have Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. So Susanna Clarke has only written 2 books in her lifetime. One of them is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, which is a brick. And I don't think I'm ever gonna read that book, to be honest. But that one is like Victorian era, magic, you know, historical fiction. This one is completely different. There is this guy called Piranesi, and he's in this very weird world of rooms and corridors, and basically he lives there, he takes care of the place. There's a lot of statues, there's a lot of just halls of marble, and he's basically the caretaker. Again, he doesn't know anything about his past. And there's also another character called the Other, and he comes to this world once a week only. Piranesi doesn't know any other people in this world until one day he finds proof of another person in this weird realm. And he starts piecing the puzzle pieces together until he finds this other person. It's short, it's fun, it's great. It's 5 stars. Next, I'm gonna recommend a book that I learned about from Kayla, aka Books and Lala, aka the smartest person in the world. And that book is The Book of the Most Precious Substance by Sarah Gran. And this book is about a book. Books about books. We love to see it. And this is a sex magic book. And basically, it has 5 rituals that you have to perform. And if you perform all of them correctly, you will be granted anything you could possibly want. Basically, you can make a wish. You can like wish for a better life, whatever. And that wish will be granted to you. And the main character is a woman who has a husband who is severely ill, I think with dementia. Basically, she has to take care of him, and her life is not great. But she's also a book collector. She seeks out rare books and she sells them. That's her profession. And one day she learns about this weird book called The Book of the Most Precious Substance, and she is going to get this book for a rare book collector, and she's gonna be paid a lot of good money for this book. So she embarks on this quest, but she's also accompanied by another guy. And together they're going to try to find this book, but also maybe do the rituals to see if anything happens when they do them. And the last book I'm going to recommend today is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. Erin Morgenstern also has written only 2 books in her lifetime. I enjoyed this one. I did not enjoy The Night Circus. I actually didn't even finish The Night Circus. I don't know if I will, because it's very different from this one. But The Starless Sea is a very special, very, very special book. It's very Ravenclaw, big brain energy type of book. So the first time I tried reading it, and I didn't like it. I wasn't vibing with it. And so I thought, this is too smart for me. I'm gonna let it go. If it enters my life again, I will read it. And it did enter my life again, because a year later, Hannah from A Clockwork Reader read it. And she loved it. And she said, this is one of my favorite books of all time. And I was like, I have to give this book another shot, because if I don't, I will regret it for the rest of my life. And so I did. And guess what, guys? I loved it. So the book is about this guy who's called Zachary Ezra Rollins. He one day goes to the library and finds this book called Sweet Sorrows, and he starts reading it. And all of a sudden he realizes the book is about him. And so he starts asking people questions about this book, trying to find out more, and he embarks on this journey where like one person leads him to another person, and that person leads him to another person, and he starts going to certain events to try to find people that will answer his questions, until one day he enters the world of the Starless Sea, which is an underground world of stories and fairy tales, and it's very, very weird, but I love it. I love weird books that involve quests, if you didn't get it from this entire video. I highly recommend all of these books. They're all 5 stars. And if you know any weird books with quests, please recommend them to me. Oh, and also what I noticed is that there's a lot of variety within these books, because like Rabbits is more science fiction, Pure Nessie is more fantasy, Starless Sea is fantasy, Book of the Most Precious Substance is more like mystery thriller, and The Raw Shark Text also is like mystery thriller, but also kind of sci-fi. So yeah, my favorite genres, all in one. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!